interview.
No problem.
Uh,
Happy to help.
you are a coach, basketball coach. I know you because I'm doing an internship with Basketball Wales, right? You're a professional
Yes,
referee.
yeah, that's right. So I've been involved in the sport of basketball well for many years. As a player, a coach, also as a referee now, a professional referee. I'm currently involved. I'm currently working within the sport. I'm the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for Basketball Wales, which is the governing body, looks after everything to do with basketball in Wales. So yeah, so quite rooted within the sport.
How has so in your opinion, if I want to know what role has data played? How significant is the evolution of data when it comes to sports and sports gambling or any general sport? How big a role does data play in today's modern times?
Yeah. Okay. So again, you know, I know of the sports gambling industry. I'm not obviously involved in it, but I can see that data has will for sure have influenced or has had a big impact within the gambling industry and the betting industry. For example, within basketball, our sports, we rely heavily on statistics. Um, I think every professional basketball game, whether it's played in the UK, France, Spain, Asia, America, any professional sports game that takes place will have statisticians at the game, and they will be producing statistics, and obviously those statistics and that data can help. I would imagine can help the industry predict what the future games could be, all these different things. So yeah, I think it's quite a huge part of the industry, and obviously within basketball, I know that statisticians and statistics is a huge part. Yeah, very important.
And how does it influence the behavior of sports persons, as in sports bettors or general sports people involved, be it organization or the players who are playing on the field?
Well, I think for the people who may be the customers of the gambling industry, I'm sure that having all that data now at their fingertips, probably the touch of a Google or AI or something like that, they can probably bring out all the last 5, 6, 10 games they played. They can look at patterns. I'm assuming they can look at, yeah, tendencies of how teams play because the statistics that basketball produces is very detailed. It can they track um, turnovers, the number of bad passes, they track the number of points the player scores. So yeah, I presume all of these statistics now being available for for consumers or for the industry themselves. I think will have a massive impact really. So
What do you think are the ethical challenges when it comes to unethical use of data? Because data, as we know, can be generated as well through the use of AI. So, what, as in sports industry or within the organization, what is your opinion on how the industry is tackling such challenges that they are facing?
yeah, interesting question. I mean, obviously, when it comes then to things like data, I suppose people can try and manipulate that data. I mean, like within all sports, you see that there's been instances where professional athletes, cricket, tennis, I believe, and even our sport or my sport, basketball, we've had instances where the world governing bodies have had to ban and impose fines on players because they've been involved, for example, in match fixing, spread betting, all these different, really unethical and obviously illegal actions. I know that FIBA, which is our world governing body, got the badge, the FIBA, which looks after all of basketball, they work with the gambling industry to find out or to look for patterns of illegal behavior, and obviously they work together to make sure that players aren't being corrupted. And obviously, it does go on. It has gone on. I think the FIBA website, or certainly, yeah, the FIBA World website, publish lists of players who have been involved, unfortunately, in these illegal acts. So then, yeah, so I think there's a big thing there in terms of the data now can manipulate athletes to say, oh, actually, we
Mm.
don't have to lose the game, but maybe I can do something to sort of manipulate them. Maybe I don't know, like for football, get a yellow card in the 70th minute or within 70 and 80 minutes. So there's lots of things you can do within a game now, which perhaps some athletes will think, oh, actually, I can make some money here. Which obviously is dangerous, it's illegal, and obviously we want to try and eradicate that from the sport. But I think having all that data that the industry, that all the various industries produce is, obviously can be dangerous. It can be luring for players. I suppose you've got people like organized crime syndicates. They try and use these people then to manipulate sports. So which obviously is not a good, well, obviously is a terrible thing.
What kind of data exactly is the most used or most sought after in when you see patterns, or when authorities look for patterns which can be unethical? What kind of a data is it? There a particular data which they find more often than not?
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Kind of data. Well, like I said about the statistics, there's vast amounts of data now being produced. I don't know football. I follow football. I'm not a fanatic, but I know that like on when you watch the TV live now, it tells you how many corners a team has had, and it tells you number. The data is always on the screens. You've got, I think it's Opta, I think does the football statistics, but so people at home who are watching, they don't obviously have to then bet on the result of the game. They can bet on crazy things: the number of corners, the number of free throws, the number of throw-ins, the number of yellow cards, the number of yellow cards. So I think what I understand, my limited knowledge of the gambling industry is not only now, well, which team's going to win? Will Manchester United beat Liverpool on the Sunday afternoon? They've almost created. It looks like the industry has created a menu of other things you can bet on within the game. So yeah, and again, like I said, lots of different things. Number of yellow cards, the number of offsides, maybe. I'm not quite sure, but I think the people who are the people who are gambling within this industry, they obviously put that initial, oh, I want my team to win, perhaps, so they'll maybe bet on that team. But also then when they're in the app, they might have the opportunity then to bet on other things within that same game. So I suppose it keeps them addicted to it, doesn't it? It keeps them involved. So perhaps if your team is 2-0 down in the first 5 minutes of a football match, you've potentially lost your bet. So it's like, well, what else can I bet on? So what else can I keep me involved in this game? So I presume they open up the app, I don't know, the William Hill or the Bet365 or whatever it is, and they'll look for something else to sort of keep them keep that excitement, keep that in the game, even though they still want to watch the game, but they'll perhaps use something else. So I think the data is huge. I think the industry is doing as much as it can to uh, keep people on the app whilst they're watching their favorite sport or their favorite team. So I think the data is everything really. Without the data and the statistics, they wouldn't have things to bet on.
Right. You mentioned applications. Can you give me a certain, for example, can you give me a slight list of the top 3 or 4 most used applications within UK, for example, that are most sought after? They are which are the first preference of all the gambling industry people, the punters
Oh,
that we call it.
application. Well, I'm presuming that obviously the biggest one is the apps. Everything now is on smartphone. The data,
Hmm.
you know, e- there's so much stuff at everyone's fingertips. You can obviously Google now, and now with like AI and Chat GPT and all these things. I'm assuming that it's probably making things harder for the industry, but for the consumer or for the customers, they've got the app at the touch of a button, and it's yeah, they can, like I said in the previous question, they can, if they if their initial perhaps bet is gone, the team is losing 5-0 at half time,
Hmm.
and they think, well, I've lost my bet. What else can I to keep me? keep me enticed, to keep me involved in that match. So I'm assuming, like I say, the internet, Google, all these things, they're all big sources of data. It's all on there, isn't it? You can find whatever you need to find. Um, Player data, the information now that we keep on players. It's fascinating. Obviously, it's not an area that I get into really, but obviously
Mhm.
I follow Premier League football. I watch a lot of basketball. Um, I like my tennis, but like I say, everything now is when you watch the screens, it's all statistics. The number of in golf, for example, the number of yards that this player is likely to hit the tee shot, and I'm assuming
Mhm.
you could probably bet on that as well. Who's going to
Mhm.
have the longest
Mhm.
drive. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. I'm not quite sure if it does, but
Mhm. What do you feel is the future for betting sports industry as a whole and the bettors? Is the data here to stay, or will the authorities come up with certain initiatives to tackle and create a balanced scale?
oof, I don't think my own personal view is I don't think the data is going anywhere. I think the data now it's almost it's become expected in different sports. Obviously, from a basketball perspective, commentators they need the statistics. They need to know, how many free throws the players made, what's the shooting percentages, how many turnovers have they had, how many rebounds. Because obviously I presume that the guy who commentated on the match has got his iPad or his laptop, and the statistics are being fed live. Because I suppose that enhances the quality of the commentary. So like the people sitting at home then, or maybe listening to it if they can't see it
Hmm.
live, can hear and get all that data. So my personal view is I don't think data is going anywhere. Probably if anything, the data I'd imagine will get bigger. Um, I think, well, from a sports industry or gambling industry, I'm just assuming that all these extra statistics makes it harder for them, because they're going to have to make sure then that I suppose they're not being cheated, they're not being, uh, yeah, they're not losing money, because at the end of the day, the industry is about money, isn't it? It's
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
winning and losing and how much money they can make. So obviously, I'm assuming that all these big companies, they all work with the authorities to make sure that if they predicted or if they've seen a pattern of behavior which they suspect is a bit suspicious, they'd report that to
Hmm.
whoever whichever UK or European or US authority to look into. And obviously it is becoming more prevalent. There are more people now being caught, um, by the authorities for this illegal and quite immoral behavior really of betting within their sports. But yeah, I think apps and AI and this new technology I think it's just gonna make big data grow. I don't see it disappearing, if I'm honest. I just see it becoming a part of it, and yeah, and yeah, the, yeah, for the
Thank
industry.
you. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you for this
No
interview. I
problem.
appreciate it.
Yeah, good, and I hope that the questions I've answered them within as best I can. If there's anything you want to follow up on, by all means, just let me know, and I'll happily jump back on and try and answer again. But yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, and good luck with your dissertation or your project, your
Thank,
thesis, and I hope it goes well.
thank you. Thank you. Have a
No
nice
problem. All
day.
right, I'll speak to you soon. Take care, chat.